to go this time on a three-man rush. Going to backpedal, 5 more time. Got to be somebody open now, yes? Yes, there is! Like I said, another three-man rush right here.
Hello and welcome in. I'm your host, Pat Bradley, joined as always by my friends and co-hosts, Carl Mann and Tommy Sullivan. And this is the Three-Man Rush Podcast, America's most beloved casual NFL gambling podcast. From a couple of above average, maybe not so casual NFL gamblers, Carl, Tommy, we made out pretty good. Week 19, Super Wild Card Weekend, which means we're on to Week 20 in the divisional round. Boys, Carl, Tommy, back from vacation. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is just what I needed, was a little bit of a recharge and, just sending my picks in via text off the cuff, and the bounces went my way this week. So we'll see if it continues. I might need more pina coladas though, because I think that worked.
I was gonna say, I think it was the pina coladas. You're talking about the bounces going your way. Are you talking about the football or the coconuts falling off the tree onto your head while you're taking a nap?
Definitely a little bit of both. I would say pina coladas are my version of Michael's secret stuff.
Okay. That's amazing.
Did you feed any of those to the Cowboys kicker? Because he could not kick it straight, so he must have been enjoying some of those pina coladas before the game.
Yeah, I saw him at the resort, and I kept sliding him down.
Listen, shout out to Brett Maher because he missed those 4 extra points. The 3 of us pushed on the total, and we all would have been wrong because we took the under last week, and it would have gone over. So shout out to you, Brett. We appreciate you missing literally 4 of those kicks. It was like the funniest thing because I was watching it with my wife before she went to bed, and then she went up, and like every time she's like, well, he can't miss again. And he did. And then she's downstairs changing the laundry for the 3rd one. And I just go, no way. And she's like, he missed again and shit. So we're like, we're yelling at each other from like different levels of the house about him missing. And then she's in bed for the 4th touchdown. And I'm downstairs and he misses the kick. And instantly I'm like, oh, she's asleep. She missed it. That's too bad. Again, all caps, no way text. So just brought a lot of comedy to our household, made sure that we didn't lose a bet last night. I love that. For me, I love that for all of us.
It's crazy too because he missed his last extra point in the game before
in week 18.
He made 5. He missed 5 in a row going back to the week before. So
it's nuts.
He's gonna work on that.
The best part was how they immediately cut to Jerry Jones's box every single time, and it was like the first time it's like, all right, haha, and then the second time like, oh, whoops, like Jerry's embarrassed with whatever famous people he's with, and then like at the second one, that's when we got the Dak helmet slam. Like, come on, like everybody hates Brett. And then the 3rd one, by the 4th one, Jerry Jones like was gone. I think he was on his way down to cut him live on the field, but they didn't have a backup on the roster, so he couldn't do that. So insane. It was. I've never seen anything like that before, but it worked in our favor.
Also shout out to Mike McCarthy for sticking to it and never going for 2 like Dak wanted.
Literally, I guess you can't argue with the results, but man, like Mike McCarthy, just not a great coach.
He's like the Tom Brady of coaches.
Whoa! What are you?
The Kirk Cousins of coaches.
We agreed not to talk about Tom Brady on this podcast because we could do an entire obituary for the man. Although I don't think he's done yet. We might get another go around for zombie Tom Brady. We didn't agree to not talk about Kirk Cousins. I think that's going to happen at some point. Maybe we'll wait till we get to Giants Eagles and I'll throw in my Kirk thoughts as we hit the Giants there.
Jack's moving on.
Yep.
We may not see the Cowboys outfit Super Bowl weekend though. I feel like their run's gonna end probably, but
unfortunately, with dying with the Vikings was the dream that we could have Lady Viking Carl and some free Harrisons for me. Carl, I texted you or I said it to you in person this weekend. Like I need a new bet. Like we have to find a new bet because I need to find a way to convince you to buy me Harrisons. That's what I need in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I think you might have to wait for like baseball season because I mean, I think I have a pretty good track record here in football. So
And I think we're probably going to agree on a lot the rest of the way, if I had to guess.
Wouldn't
Probably.
surprise me.
Fair enough.
We're running out of games, so I mean,
We are. It's like it's kind of sad. It was crazy. Like it really didn't take me that long to put our little like outline together. We're usually waiting to start recording because I haven't finished the outline yet, and like someone else is chipping in. Like I have one job in this podcast besides talking too much, and it's the outline. And I'm always holding us up. And I like literally started like 15 minutes before, and I was like, wow, this is like kind of depressing. There's no games. So then we started late anyway because I decided to do some research and find some other things to talk about tonight. So, you know, I just if anything, I am consistent.
shirts that say Pat will talk. That's the Pat will talk. That's for sure.
That's the merch we need, man.
We need merch next season. We need merch.
I think the merch is coming. We talked in person. I got to see both of you this weekend, which is exciting. And we were chatting. You know, rumor has it there could be some exciting changes coming to the podcast in season 3. I don't want to. Maybe that's all we'll say, Carl. But I'm excited.
Season 3.
Season 3.
Shocking changes are coming.
Oh man, thank God. Thank God my mom only listens to this and doesn't know what that means if she doesn't.
Just surprising. Unexpected.
Definitely some big changes coming in the next year, but for the better.
You know,
we're working on improving things. So
a lot of big changes, Carl. We'll put it that way.
Big changes, little changes, all of it.
Yeah. Just changes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll stop being we'll stop being weirdly suspicious here. And we'll just, as we normally do, we will dive in to our records. So we're not including our records on our props and our parlays here. I will say pretty good outcome, I would say, for what I gave you on the podcast. So I realized, Carl, I didn't share because we talked a while about that Niners and Seahawks game. But you can back me up on the outline. I did have an Eckler anytime TD, and I believe he scored the first touchdown of the game Saturday night for the Chargers, which was quite a collapse. And then I did pretty good. If Travis Kelce, I'm sorry, not Travis Kelce. If George Kittle had scored a touchdown, we would have been like 10-0 on the day, like all green. I had an incredible Saturday, including the props and the parlays. He did get that 2-point conversion, which you point out to me, which unfortunately almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades and not at sports books. So
yeah,
tough break for me.
I was big on Dawson Knox on Sunday also.
And he got one for you, right?
He got two. Catch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So either way, I think we all wound up in the green. It was a pretty good weekend. But no surprises here. So Carl, so we did 3 picks per game, and I started off 6-0 on Saturday, and you sent a text Sunday morning. You're like, "Wow, Pat, I love that for you," and I was immediately suspicious. And I told you this in person. I was like, "No, you only ever say, wow, I love that you did well on the first game of the week. Like if I win on Thursday and I get a $1 Bill Island, it means I'm gonna have an awful Sunday." And Sunday didn't quite go in my favor. It wasn't terrible, but I lost more than I lost on Saturday. We'll put it that way. And Carl, you did really well. So this is the way that the season has gone. Carl, you won the week. You went 14-3-1. Tommy, right in the middle, 13-4-1. And then there's me pulling up the caboose, 12-5-1 after my 6-0 start on Saturday. Tough way to finish. Tough. You know what the problem was I had to pick Tom Brady and I had to pick Kirk Cousins, even though I said this in the text chain. Like the Giants were screaming at me, and it felt like everyone was screaming about the Giants. So it felt too suspicious, and I played myself, I think is what it amounts to. And Tom Brady, I just kind of knew, and I was willing to take that L and go down with the ship. And if I didn't go down with the ship, and I picked him to cover, although I picked the Bucs to cover and the Cowboys to win. So I thought it would be a close game and come down to the end. Really, really wrong there.
Sounds like you were just hedging your bets.
1,000%. 1,000%. Like I just had to do something.
What did we say about hedging, Carl?
Hedging is for losers.
Yep.
and I'm in third place. So you are correct. You are correct. Fortune teller Carl. Anyway, listen, the point is, I just had to do it for the shtick. Kirk led me down. Listen, here's what I'll say about Kirk. I don't think it was his fault. Throwing a 3-yard check down on 4th and 8.
I wish everyone could see Tommy's face.
I think you can literally the end of the game you can put on one person's head.
You were correct. Aside from that, Kirk was good. Listen, every other wide receiver was
It's true.
past the sticks.
Justin Jefferson did not get 60 yards though and ruined a prop.
Oh my God, I know. We had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase to go what was it, 60 plus, Tommy?
You knew that was going to happen though. When
of course,
boosted by the sportsbook.
That's true.
It's never. Yeah, we should have known better. I did get a boost. I got Tom Brady over 1.5 touchdown passes boosted, and he got a garbage time one there. So the books, I'm sure, were not happy about that, but they're like, whatever. It's Tom Brady. It's the end. We can. They like to give you one, right? Like you're not going to get 2 boosts in the same weekend because they give you one to get you hooked, and then you come back and they take all of your money. That's just the way that it goes. Conspiracy Pat. Anyway, look, sad weekend for Kirk, sad weekend for Tom. Now my allegiances have just shifted back to Patrick and his Mahones. So it's probably where we'll kick things off here as we move into games, which is what I think we should do. Fair?
Yeah, fair. Love that.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. Well, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, his Kansas City Chiefs, #1 seed in the AFC, are hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, fresh off of a remarkable comeback that I don't think actually is getting enough. Like, because it was Saturday, I don't think it's getting enough press. And because it was the wild card round and everyone, I think people are more focused on the Chargers collapse and Brandon Staley, who didn't get fired today. It's Tuesday as we record this. Their offensive coordinator and their quarterbacks coach got let go. Brandon Staley safe for now. People are just focused more on what the Chargers didn't do than what the Jaguars did do, which was come back. That said, they're not doing that against any other team left in the field. Like, they got to clean it up. If you throw 4 interceptions in the first half, Trevor Lawrence, you're screwed. Chargers very much. Tommy, what was the stat that you gave us about the how many rush attempts they had there in the second half?
It was me. It was 7 out of 29 were designed runs. So like,
there you go.
Scramble runs, whatever, does not count. But designed run plays was 7 of 29 in the second half.
All they had to do was clock, and they chose not to.
So the amount of times that the Chargers snapped the ball with like 20 seconds left on the play clock, and then the fact that they just didn't run the ball, it's exactly what the Falcons did in their collapse against the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Like, great callback.
And we were sitting there, I think, like incredulous that, like, I don't know, all of us were probably too nervous to fully understand what was happening. But going back, rewatching, like in the years since that game, lives in lore for us as Patriots fans. That's exactly what Dan Quinn and the Falcons were doing. They weren't running the ball. They're trying to pile on. They got cocky. They're snapping the ball early. And really, it's you against the clock at that point. So whatever. Chargers played themselves. Congrats to the Jaguars. Hell of a comeback. I think they do deserve a little bit more credit than they're getting. Vegas doesn't necessarily agree, though, because the Chiefs are favored by 8.5 here in Kansas City. Total in this one is 53 points. So, Carl, I'm going to let you lead us off here. And again, just to remind everyone at home, for the playoffs here, we are picking against the spread, like we always do every week of the season. But then we're also going to pick just who outright wins the game. So money line winner. And then we're picking either over or under the total. We're not going to bet pushes, nothing crazy like that. Maybe I will. Listen, I'm unpredictable. But for now, we're going to bet the total, the over, the under. So spread, money line, total. How do you see this game playing out?
All right. Well, we always go with facts over feelings here on this side of the podcast. Can't say the same for you over there, Pat, but that's okay. You can do your own thing. I'll give you the numbers as quick as I can, and hopefully you can follow along. And once I read them all off, we'll break it down a little bit. But Kansas City's offensive pass DVOA is 41%. It's good to have a positive number there. Jacksonville's pass DVOA is 20%. That is good to be a negative. So positive for defensive DVOA is not good, which is a 61% difference if you calculate those together. So with Patrick Mahomes leading the offense, they love to throw the ball. Week off for Andy Reid to prepare. I think before I even get into my pick, I mean, I think you know where I'm going anyway, but before we even get into that, I would say Andy Reid is known for scripting his first drive. I mean, a lot of teams do, but he is one of the best at it. They know the first 9 plays they're going to run in a drive if they even make it that many plays. So I would say over for whatever Kansas City's points are in the first quarter is probably a good bet. If you're like Pat and you want to live bet some different drives, what's going to happen, what's the result on this drive, I think a touchdown on the first drive for the Chiefs is a really good bet. We saw Trevor Lawrence come out really slow. And by really slow, I mean 3 interceptions in the first quarter, right? So Kansas City's defense is going to be playing really good, especially having that week off of rest. So the only thing that concerns me is Trevor Lawrence has never lost a game on a Saturday, and this game is the first game on Saturday. So we'll see how the streak plays out. But I think
it
that
is facts over feelings. It is facts over feelings.
It is facts over feelings. But also Patrick Mahomes has been to 5 straight AFC Championship games, so he's got a streak running there also. So I think I don't see much running involved. I know you'll talk about the running game here in a little bit. I don't think they'll need to run the ball. They may just out of necessity to run the clock out. But I'm going to go with Kansas City here for spread. For money line, and I actually think I'm going to take the over because, like I said, Kansas City is going to put up points, and I think they know they've got bulletin board material on. There's never enough points. You could be up 20, whatever it was, 24, 27, whatever their lead was that the Chargers had over Jacksonville. They're just going to use that to say, hey, this is the lead, but we can't slow down. We just got to keep playing our game, or switch to that run game, like you said, but. You can go ahead and use. I'll save the run stat for your breakdown, but we know they have the opportunity to run the ball against this Jaguars team also. So, Chiefs over.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head for me because I am much like last week. I'm in the same exact boat as you. Arrowhead. This might be a hot take or not, but I think Arrowhead is a better playoff stadium than Seattle's is. I think it's the best atmosphere in the NFL in the playoffs, and I think that'll.
I don't think that's a hot take.
I wasn't sure because I know that the Seattle has that 12th man mantra and whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Buffalo's up there as well, obviously, with the pregame shenanigans that they have. But I think it's the most hostile stadium. And like you said, 2 weeks off as a better team. The Jaguars needed an emotional comeback win, so they're probably a little bit more drained than a normal second round team would be. I think the over under line is a little sharp. It's a little tough for me, but I think that this ends up being a 38-20 game with the Jaguars getting a couple garbage time TDs. So yeah, hit me with the over, although it'll be close.
Yeah, Carl, I like what you said there about just kind of the Chiefs being aware of what the Jaguars just did to the Chargers, who the Chiefs know very well in their division. And yeah, listen, I think first playoff game of the year, I think they want to put up the Chiefs want to win, but the Chiefs like to show off a little bit. Like they do like to mess around. And I think points are going to be important. And I think they're not this could be it's not a get right game because there's nothing to get right, but I think it's going to be one of those things where what can we do against a playoff team in the playoffs here, right? Let's test it out. Let's try some things. And I think they're going to score some points even by accident. So I don't know. I was leaning. Here's what I'm worried about is the Chiefs just don't cover. I don't have the number in front of me. They're not great against the spread this year, and bigger numbers over a touchdown, they've been horrific. So when I saw this line at 8.5, my gut said Jaguars. And I'm going to regret that because I'm going to go with both of you. I'm going Chiefs and over. I don't think there's a shot in hell that the Chiefs lose this game, barring an injury to Patrick Mahomes. And as far as the total goes, yeah, like, listen, I think we talked last week, Carl, about like the 49ers and Seahawks and how the 49ers could ultimately come very close to like covering, hitting the over by themselves, which is exactly what happened. And I don't think this is going to be a blowout per se. So I don't know if I subscribe to like 38-20, Tommy, but I do think I think the Jaguars, maybe the final score will be a blowout and the final score will be less apparent. We'll get some garbage, but I could like 38-28 even. I think the Chiefs are going to put up points. Like this could be like a 42-25 kind of a game, which I guess is a blowout as well. It's weird to think of that, right? When the loser scores like 25 points. I just think that the Chiefs are going to score early. They're going to score often. The quick note here about the running stats, we're going to talk about this towards the end of the pod. But something to keep an eye on, the Jaguars middle of the pack rush defense, right? They gave up 112 rushing yards per game this year. Chiefs ran for 155 yards on them in week 10 this year when they played, which we should have mentioned earlier because the Chiefs won at home 27-17 in Kansas City. Now, one quick note for all of us. We subscribe to when there's a rematch, take the under, especially for divisional opponents, which this is not. Does that change your minds on the over, either of you, really quick, yes or no?
No, not really. Like I said, like for me, I mean, the line is high for a reason because these teams can put up points, or I guess on the opposite side, they tend to let up points. Kansas City is known for scoring points. They're also known for giving up points. They like to win in shootouts because they like to score points, which some of the points that they allow are garbage time because like they don't care. They know they can just outscore you. They go possession by possession. They know that they can, like, if they can score a touchdown on, a certain percentage of their drives, they don't care because they know their defense is going to like stop them, the other team at some point. That's what they rely on. That's why we saw the games versus like the Chiefs Broncos being so close, not because the Broncos are like a great team, but because they were able to slow down Kansas City and keep it a lower scoring game. Jacksonville's not that type of team, at least not in my opinion. And it no fault of their own, but their division that they play, the 6 games against is not the best teams in the league. You know what I mean? So
right.
Their numbers are not necessarily inflated, but they have an easier road throughout their division. So I don't know, but I do think the line is like relatively close for the over under. I think the score is going to be somewhere like 33, I don't know, 33, like 24, like low 30s for the Chiefs, maybe like mid to low 20s for Jacksonville. Again, like close spread. I think it's going to be tight. I don't think this is going to be like a super, super blowout, but I think like mid 50s is a good line for over under. So, I mean, obviously Vegas is Vegas, and the fewer games that they have to handicap, the closer these lines should be, especially with all the experience. So, again, like we saw last week, I wouldn't be surprised if this line, goes one way or another by a few points or less, like a half point here or there, or 1 or 2 points in either direction, for both the spread and the total.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I did, like, going back to your original question, I did want to question it a little bit, but I feel like Vegas has corrected the over-unders throughout the season to be a lot lower than what it was at the start of the season. This feels like they're correcting back to it, like they're putting it high to tease people to go under, because it seems absurdly high compared to what it's been.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I think the Chiefs are in the Golden State Warriors kind of like mode where they can just like walk through the regular season knowing that they can save themselves, save their energy, go full force in the playoffs. And I think that this is the perfect opportunity for them to remind the league just how elite they are. And that's, yeah. And so I was originally questioning the over under, but I'm back into like my confidence of over 53 with Kansas City getting a high points.
I have one more point, which it may or may not pan out, but we talked about it last week, is if Kansas City and Buffalo meet next week, it's on a neutral site. So this could be, even though they are the number 1 seed, this could be their only home game. And they play the first game not knowing what the result is going to be. So again, they could be putting on a show for their home crowd, the fans. Yep. Without knowing if they're going to be able to come back or not. So I think the fans know that. I think the team knows that. And like I said, they're just a better team overall. So I feel like you've got so many things going for the Chiefs.
It's a really good point. A couple quick notes here to wrap up my points. I'm with you guys. I'm going to go Chiefs over as well. I did say I'm mildly wary of Chiefs by 8.5, of Chiefs by over a touchdown, period. Despite everything that we just said, which I subscribe to. And Carl, you thought that the total was pretty close to where it should be. My question for you guys is, if we want value, right? Like, so Chiefs spread is -110. The total is -110. We could just tease those two things because we all agree that the Chiefs are going to win this game. So we could just do a 6-point teaser on the Chiefs spread and the total, which would bring the Chiefs down to just 2.5 and the total down to 47. I think I'd be a little much more confident. And you're only giving up you're not really paying more. It's -120 for that 6-point teaser for those two things versus -110 on either of those. So I don't know. Maybe that's the way to go. Like, if you're confident in that and you want to, bet the Chiefs, 47. The one flag there. So again, 27-17, the Chiefs won in week 10. So that's 44 points. Still under the number, that tease number of 47. So something to keep an eye on, but I think we all feel pretty confident for a lot of reasons that the Chiefs are going to score. Really quickly on the running game. Chiefs are not a running team by any means, right? Jerick McKinnon's the guy that's really come on for them. Isaiah Pacheco too, but McKinnon's been dynamic, not running the ball, but from the running back position. On average, Jaguars allow 6 catches for 45 yards to running backs. Jerick McKinnon, in his last 6 games, 9 touchdowns. 8 of them receiving. He only on the season averages 30 receiving yards per game. Again, I would have to check those numbers and see what it's been like over the second half of the season, because that's where he's really come on in the final third of the season here for sure. But I'll tell you this right now. I like Jerick McKinnon anytime touchdown. If you're just taking that, it's -115 right now. If you try to put it in a same game parlay, they bump it up. It's -125. We're going to talk about that at the end of the pod. A little bit of a teaser there when we get to our divisional round parlay party. But that's my guy, Jerick McKinnon. I would even talk about a subscribed first drive of the game. Could we see Jerick McKinnon run the ball into the end zone just to show them something different and then torch them in the air the rest of the game? Very possibly. I don't hate Jerick McKinnon first touchdown score. I think he's +500, +700 there too. So if you want to get bold and gamble, maybe that's the way to go. We'll talk about some other options to score later on. We can leave it at that for now. But we are all in complete agreement here.
We're all on the different angles. We're on the same angle, but we're all
for different reasons.
Well, I'm saying we're all for approaching, how you gamble these games from a bunch of different angles, because you can dial in on each game individually. Because we talked about last week, they're all at individual times. There's fewer games. You can look at it a whole lot more. You can break it down a lot more. So we're definitely looking at as many ways to make money as we can. So.
I will say, you were laughing at me Saturday, Carl, because I had a bet for the Saturday games that each team would score over 2.5 points in the first quarter, and it hit for everybody except for the Jaguars.
The Jaguars,
who didn't score in the first half and then come back roaring and score 31 points in the second half. So I had 3 out of 4 teams would have had hit a nice little it's a same game parlay, so it's 2.5, and then so 2 picks in one and 2 picks in the other, and you get 4 picks for that. So mad about that. But I think, if anything, I think this is the game where the Jaguars score in the first quarter. So if you like that as well, Carl, I know you were talking about first quarter points. Just something to keep an eye on. So, all right, Chiefs, all of us, all the way. Will that be my Super Bowl team? I don't know. Spoiler. I told you last week who my team is. We're going to ask you, Tommy, at the end of the podcast, because Carl and I did that. So we're going to make you make a prediction at the end of this. But for now,
matchup or just one team?
Yeah, we'll go matchup. Okay. That's what Carl and I did. We did team over team, and then I pulled some odds for that on DraftKings. So
I already got it locked.
Love it. All right, moving on. The 6th seeded upset alert, New York Football Giants. This hurts. Headed to Philadelphia to take on divisional rival.
It hurts.
Listen, we'll see what else hurts for them. Whether or not they're going to have Lane Johnson, whether or not Jalen Hurts can throw the ball and be efficient. I don't know. But the Giants are headed to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, fresh off their number 1 seeded bye week. The Eagles are favored by 7.5 points. Hate the hook. Hate the hook in this one. The total is 48. So, Tommy, I'm going to let you lead us off this time. This is such a perfect Vegas line, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Like you said, the hook makes it tough. But as we just discussed with rematches, this is the 3rd rematch. So I think I don't know if it's going to be a lower scoring game, but I think 7.5 is a little bit too high, even with Philly coming off the bye. Much like the Dolphins were able to cover against the Bills and show a surprisingly competitive matchup, I think that this Giants team is better. And even though I think this Eagles team is better than the Bills team, I think that it's still pretty close. So I'm going to take the Giants to cover, but I think I'm going to take the Eagles to win. And the over is also tough. Like, this is also a really good over underline. But I think at 48, it's a little bit too rich for my blood. So I'm going to hit the under here. But I think it's going to be close.
Wow. I really thought we were going to be, right down the same path again.
Crap. I should have gone over.
Why you want to make up a point. If it goes under, you get to keep.
No, you want an opportunity to make up a point.
No, I don't know. I mean, I think that, Philadelphia definitely has an edge in this game. They've had rest. They've had home field advantage. We know the Giants in the playoffs do like to go on the road, play spoiler, and keep the momentum going as they've done in the past. Every team's obviously a little bit different from year to year, but yeah, I think that this is like a touchdown game. I got it projected at 6.8, give or take, like right around 7. So 7.5 is a tough line. So I'm gonna actually take the same as Tommy. I'm gonna take the Giants to cover the spread, Philadelphia to win. But I'm gonna go over here. I can see these teams again scoring like mid-20s. So 48, like Tommy said, is a good number. I do think that it might end up closer to honestly like a 30-24 game. So 30-24, 6 points. So slightly over that 48, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's floating around like 47 and then there's another touchdown to make it, like the total being like at 47 and then a touchdown at the end of the game takes it over. You know What I mean? So
the question for me is health. It's been about a month since Jalen Hurts suffered his injury. He missed 2 games and then came back in week 18 against the Giants. So he played the Giants. They won 48-22. Then he missed 2 weeks, came back, played week 18 against the Giants. They lost that game, but I'm not really counting, right? I'm sorry. The Eagles won that game. It was 22-16, but the Giants didn't really play. I don't think they played anybody, right?
Daniel Jones didn't play. Saquon, I don't think played, but I could be wrong.
Do we have like a Lane Johnson update? Do we know if he's going to?
I can check if you want to. Can run that.
I think 7.5 feels too high. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Giants to cover. I'm going to take the Eagles to win. 48. If the Eagles are healthy, I think that's an easy over. But Vegas putting it so low tells me that I don't think they are, whether we know about it or not.
Jalen Hurts has not practiced at all. I mean, no, sorry, opposite. He is completely off the injury report, so he is good to go. But Lane Johnson is waiting until the season ends to have surgery, so I think that he's going to power through. I think he's going to try to play with that adductor.
He's going to play. The question is how, like, if this is early in the year, he'd probably miss it. And if this is like if it's not the playoffs, period. You know what I mean? Like he probably had season-ending surgery. 48 is just low for a playoff game. I don't think this is going to be another 22-16 game. We saw what the Giants offense, Carl, we were looking at this on Sunday. Do you have those Giants offense like DVOA numbers? Really? Like
Yes.
It's the defenses that are the problem. And the Giants defense has not been like horrendous.
Yep.
So I don't while you pull those up, I'm going to go with the over. I think
so. You take the same as me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go with the over for the podcast. But if I bet this in real life, I don't love it. So really similar to the Chiefs, I think I would tease the Eagles spread and the total so that I could go Eagles by 1.5.
Are you teasing the total like up so you can take the under, or are you teasing it down so you can take the over?
I'm teasing it down so I can take the over.
So in the total, and 42 is the total.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's again 6 point minus 120. Eagles down to 1.5. Total down to 42. I'm taking the over. And I will take the over with you for the podcast.
Here's what I've got for DVOA numbers. Giants offensive pass, DVOA 26, Philadelphia 17. So Giants actually rate better as an offensive unit for the pass. However, on defense, they are a 4.7, which again, on defense DVOA, you usually want a negative. Philadelphia is minus 0.64. So if you take kind of like an average of the two, Philadelphia should fare better in the passing game slightly. Obviously, it's offensive versus defensive. Where there's a huge discrepancy is going to be in the running game. Philadelphia actually has a way better running offense, believe it or not, and the Giants have a worse rush defense. So I think the running game could be a huge difference here. Now, is that who's their running back that's going crazy? Is it Miles Sanders?
Yeah, Miles Sanders had a really good year.
But then Jalen Hurts too, just really capable of attacking.
100%. And if they can run the ball and take some pressure off of Jalen Hurts from throwing it, I think that's a good plan of attack. Typically, that'll lead towards an under because you're getting more running clock than when you throw the ball and you have incompletions. But Miles Sanders could be in line for a good day here if you wanted to look at some Miles Sanders things like individually as the week goes on, or other running props. But I think that the biggest difference will be that running game according to the DVOA statistics. And both teams are pretty balanced on the offensive side of the ball. I have like a total plays, passes, and running like tally. If there's like a penalty or a sack or something like that, like it takes it off of it. But for the most part, they're balanced between like 50% pass, 50% run. So both teams, so they're pretty balanced. They're not like the Chiefs where they lean like 60-40 to the pass. So we'll see how it plays out over the weekend.
Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts both minus 115 favorites for an anytime touchdown score, and they're both the favorites for first touchdown at plus 600. Rushing and receiving props are spotty. We're finding there's a lot of them not up on DraftKings tonight, so we apologize for those. We're kind of pulling them from different books as we go along. So there's no rushing yards prop for Miles Sanders right now, but Jalen Hurts is on the board at 50.5, which feels high. But I do think it's really probable that we see him, I don't know, break a couple, just enough to make a difference, similar to what we're going to see with Daniel Jones. I honestly Daniel Jones. I'm looking at this now for the first time. His over under rushing prop is 45.5, and I'm almost inclined. Yeah, I'm inclined to go over on that. So I don't know, just something to keep an eye on. Not sure what Miles Sanders is going to be, but it sounds like we're, for the most part, in agreement. We all kind of think the Eagles are going to win this game, but the spread's a little bit too high. All right.
Yep.
Fair enough. Any other thoughts on this one, boys?
I would say I'm a little bit surprised at hearing that Hurts and Sanders are even on the TD prop, considering that their rushing game plan throughout the year is Miles Sanders gets them down the field, and Jalen Hurts has essentially been their goal line back.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit the Vegas knows that he's not completely healthy, even though he's off the injury report, and they want to protect his shoulder a little bit, not getting into those goal line scrums. But that's just a little surprising to me. That's the only thing.
I agree. Okay. Great. One little prop here. AJ Brown, receiving prop, 69.5.
Also for the Eagles, this is even though he's had 2 matchups against them, James Bradbury in the playoffs would want nothing more than to end the Giants season. So if there's a interception prop for him, I would look at that.
Or even just, Daniel Jones to throw an interception, I think, right?
Yeah, true. It's been a long time since we saw bad Danny Dimes pop up. This is a prime opportunity for it.
This Giants team kind of reminds you of those Super Bowl teams. Not to invoke negative flashbacks, but a little, like, they're built differently, but they've got those. Maybe not. It's the offense, right? It's a good running back. It's a quarterback that we all think sucks, and then all of a sudden is good this year, and just had the best maybe game of his career in the playoffs.
The only difference is like the skill for their offense is at the running back position and not the wide receiver position as it was those 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I think that's good. Let's move over to Sunday, where the 3rd seeded Cincinnati Bengals head to Buffalo to take on the Bills, who are 5-point favorites in this one. Total is 49. Who wants to lead us off?
I can, because I think this is going to be kind of, I think this could be like another high scoring game with the Bills actually having like a true test of skill position players. And with that said, I think, like I said, Miami gave them a real, like, it was really close that they might pull off the upset there for a bit. And that is a red flag for me for this Bills team, because this Bengals team is a whole lot better. So I'm going to take the Bengals not just to cover. I'm going to take them straight up. But I do like the over in this game. So I'm going to take. So I got Bengals and over 49. Even though I do think it's a good line. I just think that the Bengals are going to get out to an early lead. They'll be able to keep pace, but the Bills will try to, as they try to come back and keep it close. I think that's where the score is going to ratchet up.
Carl, yeah, the Bills are your Super Bowl team. We were sitting there watching on Saturday. I don't know. I was not impressed with the Bills on Sunday, whatever day it was.
Right, which is crazy, right? Because the DVOA that they pulled from last game, in a game that we thought they didn't play very well, they were ranked at 59.4%. Not sure who came up with that DVOA, but apparently they overperformed.
So very good for the listeners.
Yeah, very good. Like that's number one on the weekend. They were the best team compared to expected average.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Miami made some plays on defense to get into scoring range. But that's the stats. That's the numbers. So I have a few spreadsheets, as we know. They all have Buffalo winning, so I'm definitely going to take Buffalo money line here. My DVOA kind of like estimates and like rankings and stuff like that. I actually think Cincinnati might cover this game. The line's at 5. I think you wouldn't be making a mistake to also take Buffalo to win this game, because it is in that middle range. If you think it's going to be a close game and it's going to come down to one possession, that one possession could be a touchdown on the last couple of minutes of the game, or score late and have to make a stop in under 2 minutes. But I'm going to take Cincinnati to cover. Not a true hedge, because like I said, I think Buffalo is going to win the game. But if Cincinnati wins, then I do get the spread cover. So, and if it's a closer game, then I get both. So I'm going to take Buffalo to win, Cincinnati to cover, and I'm going to take the over again. 27. I think I could see both. I could see both teams scoring like 27 each. So
the big question mark for me. So a couple thoughts. Really unimpressed by the Bills this weekend. We said last week, Carl, we were worried about that Bills offense. I mean, Bills defense. We talked specifically about the secondary, which at the time I didn't realize Micah Hyde was coming back. Clearly, it didn't help because they made Skylar Thompson look like Joe Burrow. Except I think Joe Burrow is going to score more points than he did last week, which is why I'm going to take the Bengals to win outright, which means they're also going to cover, and I'm going to take the over in this one. Look, if this Bills team was healthy, I think they could run the table. I think they could go 17-0, and I think they could sweep the playoffs easily. Like, genuinely, they are that talented on paper. The one thing that bugs me is, number one, like Josh Allen, I think has overtaken maybe Ben Roethlisberger as like the most punchable face in football.
And we talked about this, I think, live. I could be wrong, but he gets tackled and he acts like he's like owed an immediate like removal from the pile. And then the interception where they start the fight after, where he doesn't even get blocked. Like, the guy's like, okay, I'm gonna he gives him a little bit of a shove, but it's like hey, don't try and get involved and make a tackle here because I will go harder.
Yep. And
Josh Allen acts like tough guy and shoves him back. And like I saw Pat McAfee saying like, no, like that's like a football player. Like, he's like ready to get into it. But like, I don't know. He just acts like a baby. And like, I'm not saying Tom Brady's perfect by any means, but
just Pat McAfee forget that within 5 seconds of that, I'm ready to get into it, as he turns his back as the fight is escalating.
Right. Yeah. Or like I said, when he gets tackled and he's trying to shove people off of him.
Yeah.
Not that the guy's like, digging into him on the bottom of the pile. It's like he literally gets tackled after he chooses to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he's the type of quarterback, which, again, he's bigger. He's a bigger quarterback. He's strong. He's athletic. He's not the quarterback that slides and avoids contact. He is going to run for contact.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to get yards. He's trying to get contact. You're going to get tackled. You're not giving yourself up.
Right.
So
I think this is the offseason we start to hear the mental midget whispers coming for Josh Allen, not going to lie.
Well, the big thing for him always, the knock has always been his accuracy. He's had the size, the arm, the mobility, but it's his accuracy. And for the first few years in the NFL, that's why he did not rise to the level that he is at now. Last year that went away. He was really accurate. This year it snuck back in, and then we just keep forgetting he has this UCL injury.
Sure.
Like, he needs Tommy John surgery, which I don't think he'll get. I think he'll rehab this offseason. And really the question is whether or not he's ever the same. Listen, he can make those big throws. We see it. But it's hard to say for the Bills because I think the Bills score a lot on big plays. And Josh Allen wants to be the hero. He plays a lot of hero ball. It's very Kobe Bryant-like, right? He's chucking the ball. And, I guess if it works once out of every 10 throws and you score 4 touchdowns on them, then who am I to complain, right? But I don't know. We grew up with Tom Brady. Like, you win on the precision passing over the middle, like, get your guys in traffic where they don't want to go, where the defense struggles. And like, how many times could people not? I mean, Skylar Thompson was the culprit here, but how many times in that game could people just not throw an out to the sideline?
Mm-hmm.
His accuracy was off. He's not healthy. The Bills' defense is not healthy. Losing Von Miller,
huge,
terrible for the pressures. Which, here's the other side of it. Here's where I worry about the Bengals. The whole right side of their offensive line, we talked about this last week, was gone. And the Bengals didn't look like world beaters against the Ravens. I didn't expect them to, because it's AFC North football, and it's the third time you've played this team, second time in 2 weeks. But man, the Bengals almost lost that game, and now they're probably without their left tackle, but might get their right tackle back. I don't know. It's in shambles. I want, like, listen, the Bengals are my Super Bowl team, like, to come out of the AFC. I said that last week, and I maintain that I think right now they're better than the Bills. The offensive line scares me. I laid my picks, so I'm going to play those picks. But that's really where it comes down to. It's going to be the Bills' health on defense, Josh Allen's elbow, right? Can he hit his receivers when he needs to? Versus can Joe Burrow stay upright and find a way to win the game? That's the question. T. Higgins, we talked a little bit, had that hip pointer issue. I think he went out and he scored. Was it like the first touchdown for the Bengals?
I think so.
So, maybe he's okay. I don't know. Let's question marks. Nobody's really healthy on a football team this time of the year, but there's the big injuries that we know about. But I'm going to take the Bengals. I don't trust the Bills. I don't like Josh Allen. Oh, and one more thing. I'm sorry, because I hate the Bills so much. The whole, like, first of all, Josh Allen's just a little bitch. And we went over that. But Sean McDermott's whole, like, humble and hungry thing, bullshit. Bullshit. The Bills are the cockiest team that have never done anything notable in their entire history, let alone like this little run that they're on this team. They like, I'm all for acting like you've been there, but also, like, if your slogan's going to be humble and hungry, have a ounce of humility. They have none. And I hate them. They're so frustrating. They just talk without having proven anything. And I think this is where the run ends this year.
I don't want to keep this going any longer than it is to either, but like Stephon Diggs is also like his attitude also irritates me because he'll, like, if he's involved, it's all about him, and like he'll catch like a 3-yard out for a first down and like do this like fucking weird celebration and like think he's the man, which is it's a first down in like the first quarter, and like chill out. But at the same time, like, you bitch and moan if you don't have any targets or catches in like a half. You know,
a drive.
I mean? Yeah, a drive even. Yeah, you're right. And like, I don't know. They live and die by the long ball. I don't think it's sustainable. I mean, it works a lot of the time, especially if you have Josh Allen scrambling and you can like throw the ball into open space and let your guy go get it. He's really good at that. But I think like there's enough game film on him, and the Bengals have played him in like meaningful games over the last couple of years, that I think they have his number. But again, I already laid my pick, so I think the Bills still end up winning this game in a close one, especially because they're at home, and I don't know. We'll see. We're not rooting for it. That's for sure.
Team full of divas. All right, let's move on where the Dallas Cowboys, Carl, your Dallas Cowboys head to San Francisco to take on the second-seeded 49ers, who are favored by 3.5. This opened a little bit higher. I think it was around 4.5 or 5 when it opened. Already down to 3.5. Total is 46 in this one. Carl, Cowboys are your team. You're trying to get me in the cheerleader outfit at the end of the season here. So why don't you lead us off?
Yeah. I wish I could say that I have, high expectations for this Cowboys team in this game, but San Francisco is just really, really good. Really good at pass offense, really good at pass defense. We know how Dak Prescott, I feel like a lot of teams live and die through their quarterback, but the Dak Prescott we saw having 5 touchdowns, and did he have any interceptions, or was it no interceptions against Tampa Bay?
I don't think he had a single one.
None. 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, right? That's the kind of Dak Prescott you need to win the game. He doesn't have to throw 5, but he has to keep his interceptions at 0. So if he can do that, then they're in a good spot, but they have to go short week on the road, San Francisco, really good offense, really good defense. They have a really good pass defense. They have an even better rush defense. And again, Dallas loves to run the ball with Zeke and Tony Pollard. So I think the key here is obviously going to be if Brock Purdy can handle the pressure of a playoff game at home versus a good team. But they just played last week, so it's not like he has to it's not like he's getting his feet wet in this first game. He's already played a game. He's already got some experience, and they were actually losing at halftime. So he led them to a near perfect second half. Again, the defense helps out a lot. So I do think that the 49ers are going to actually win and cover this game. And I think that the total is pretty close to where it should be. I actually am going to take the under. Surprisingly, I was on the over on the first couple of games, but I think it's going to be under here, which, again, usually on an under, you might be taking the points for the spread, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like a 27-17 game, like 10-point win and just slightly under the total. So.
Yeah, I'm actually right on the same page as you. And I mean, like you alluded to it, but Brock Purdy, they're starting to see a little bit of holes. Teams are getting more film on him. They can attack those weaknesses a little bit. So this will be, I mean, obviously it'll be the biggest test of his career so far. Every game that he plays from here on out is going to be the biggest test of his career. And I'm going to take the 49ers to cover. I'm going to take them to win, obviously. And it's not just that I expect Dak to have a little bit of regression, because the bigger sample size we've seen this year is that what we saw last week is the exception, not what I expect to happen.
Exactly.
And it's not even that. It's just having just a 3.5 point spread when you have one team that had 8 days to rest and another team that only had 6. That's insane. And let me sit on the soapbox for a little bit. This is insane that the NFL is making teams do this. And if I'm Roger Goodell, I'm shaking in my boots, because if the Cowboys get waxed, you're going to have Jerry Jones up your ass for signing this stupid deal that allows teams to have a 2-day separation of rest, which is for the playoffs. It can't happen. I don't understand how you're putting teams into positions where they're set up to fail. And it's maddening to me. It's making me upset just talking about it, just because I know if I was a Patriots fan and we played Monday and then we were playing a team that had played on Saturday and had to travel out to them to go play them
from southern Florida, on the East Coast, to California on the West Coast. Yeah, and you're a central team, which it doesn't necessarily make a difference, but you're in your time zone leading up to the game. Then you're in the East Coast, and now you're flying back across the country to the West Coast. It's obviously that's an outlier situation, but
and I'm sure Roger didn't think that if the Cowboys are the worst team for this to happen to, and so I'm glad that it is coming to bite him in the ass, because he is. I don't want to go down that path, but it's just really dumb that the NFL is doing this, and I think that it plays right into the 49ers' hands. So that's why I'm taking them, and I'm going to take the under too, because this is two good defenses.
Well, you could go Saturday. You have a 1 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. Why can't you go Sunday, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock? It's the same.
I think it's all because of the contract they agreed to with ESPN. I think ESPN forced them to put a Monday Night Football game so that they could air it exclusively on their network.
Yeah,
I understand that, but why if we're doing that, why don't we just go Saturday night is Sunday Night Football on NBC, and then you have Sunday night as the Monday Night Football?
It's fair.
Or Saturday Night Football is Monday, because for a while there they were doing Thursday Night Football on as the Monday night broadcast for a long time. They were it's Thursday night, it's Monday Night Football on Thursday.
That's exactly what they did on week 18. They had Monday Night Football on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Sorry for that rant, but I have to get that off my chest.
And Tommy, because it's really apt, because you mentioned that Jerry Jones is going to be on Roger Goodell's ass. Just in case we forgot, back in October, this story broke. Roger Goodell's getting a new contract as commissioner of the NFL. One NFL owner voted against this, and it was Jerry Jones, and it caused a shakeup. In 2017, it was unanimous. He was 32-0. Everybody unanimously said Roger Goodell's getting a new contract. This year, Jerry Jones, which led to a heated confrontation with our Patriots owner, Robert Kraft, and a few others. So I think you're spot on there. I'll keep this pretty brief. So Carl, you nailed it with the defenses, right? San Francisco, first-ranked defense, first-ranked defensive DVOA. Their weighted DVOA, they're second. Dallas, number 2, but weighted DVOA, they're second on defense.
Weighted DVOA for defense. Who's number 1, Pat? Are you looking at that Football Outsiders weighted DVOA? Number 1?
The Patriots were first, actually. Believe it or not.
Oh,
They
I
had a good
believe it.
defense. They had a top 5 defense.
We'll get into that another podcast.
That's another
day.
podcast.
They didn't beat a good quarterback all year. Weighted DVOA, San Francisco number 2, Dallas number 6. Okay, but passing DVOA 5th. Okay, Dallas has the upper hand there, 3rd to 5th allegedly, but then rushing DVOA, San Francisco 2nd to Dallas 5. It's close, right? This is 2 really good defenses. One thing I'll say about the offense, and Dak didn't throw an interception incredibly in the first round. Listen, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, trash. I'm not surprised the offense looks great. I'm not surprised Dak couldn't throw an interception. I mean, it's a wonder Brett Maher didn't not only make all of his extra point attempts, but then make a new NFL rule where he can throw a touchdown himself as a kicker for the extra points and have it count for 7 points, because that's really what the Buccaneers defense deserves. The Buccaneers as a whole, they're terrible. So of course the Cowboys looked good. I can't believe anybody could get possibly baited into betting on the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Who would ever put real life money on that last night? Couldn't have been me. Anyway, listen, I've been telling you guys, since week 6, I think the 49ers are the best team in football. I think the Cowboys, I think it's America's team. I think we're getting lured in. 3.5 is way too low. So I'm taking the 49ers to win and cover, but I'm actually also going to take the over, because I think we could get I could see the Cowboys putting up 13 points, 17 points in this one. And then it's okay, well, if they're not going to score a lot of points, how are we getting to that over? Number one, even if the 49ers are just running the ball, you've got Debo, you've got McCaffrey, you've got Elijah Mitchell. All those guys can just break one by accident when they're not trying to. They're just trying to run the clock. So that's one thing. Number two, I think we could get a defensive touchdown. I would almost bet on a 49ers defense anytime touchdown this week. Maybe a little Dak pick 6 action, right? 46 is low. That's a 23-23 game. I think we can get there pretty handily. Even if the Cowboys score 17 points, it just means I need 29 from the 49ers, and they've basically been over 30 points a game for the final third of the season and the playoffs last week. Cowboys have a good defense. Here's the one thing that I'm worried about, and if the Cowboys are going to win, this is what they need to do, because that rush defense is phenomenal. And I don't even know if Tony Pollard is going to be the one to make a difference, because he's not a deep threat. He's more of that short to middle guy. And just forget about Ezekiel Elliott. Leave him at home. Leave him in Dallas. But you can beat the 49ers over the top. Okay? So maybe Michael Gallup breaks one. Maybe
T.Y.
Lamb.
T.Y. Hilton.
Listen, if T.Y. Hilton is the one beating the 49ers, there's a serious problem, either for the Cowboys that they need him that badly, which clearly they do. They signed him, or the 49ers that's who you're allowing to do that. But listen, maybe CeeDee Lamb has a Mike Evans game and he has 3 touchdowns and 200 yards receiving. I think that's their only hope in this one, really. So 49ers to cover, to win, and I'm going to take the over, because I think there's going to be some defensive scoring, and I think that's going to help bump this up. So over 46. But again, if you like this, don't cross 0. This is my theme, right? Bet the team you like, tease the team you like with the total. So you can drop that total down to 38 and go over. You can give the 49ers a couple of points, 2.5 points, and then go over 38. I think that's a lock. So 49ers, and this is the only place I'm varying. I'm going with the over. All right, we've picked every game on the NFL slate this season. Spreads, money lines, totals. We have you covered. We've been looking for different angles to bet these games. So we are about to get to our parlay party. But Tommy, putting you on the spot here, give me your Super Bowl matchup. Who beats who?
Well, first I got to say I'm really glad that Brandon Staley pooped his pants, because I was probably going to pick them if I was given the opportunity last week. So full transparency there. So obviously I have a more limited field to choose from than you guys. So I'm at a distinct advantage. But I think that we're looking at a Eagles Chiefs. I think it's just going to be the 2-1 seeds. We got Eagles Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. The Eagles have been my team since the preseason, so I got to ride with them. And as you guys have stated, I think that they're going to win on Saturday, and whichever team that they have to face in the championship game is a hobbled team. So I think that their path is pretty clear for them to make it to the Super Bowl. So give me Eagles Chiefs, and I'm not sure who would win that.
Eagles over Chiefs. Well, all right.
I have to pick a winner.
Yeah, pick.
Okay, fudge. I was so clear and concise on my matchup. You know what? Ride or die. Give me the Eagles. I think that'll be a pretty even matchup. I would probably bet the Chiefs when it comes down to it if it gets to that point. But for the podcast, give me the Eagles here.
So listen, Vegas agrees with you. So exact results here. Tied for the second best odds there. So we have a favorite, and then we have a 4-way tie for second place here for exact results, team over team. But the Chiefs beating the Eagles is number one. That's plus 1,100. And then the Eagles to beat the Chiefs is plus 1,200, 12-1. Tied with the Chiefs beating the 49ers, and then the Bills beating either the Eagles or the 49ers. Those are the five most, the five heaviest favorites, 11-1 and 12-1. Just a reminder, last week, Carl took the Bills over the Eagles, which has moved from 14-1 to 12-1 this week. I took the 49ers over the Bengals, which is a little bit of a long shot comparatively. It was 30-1 last week. It's 25-1 now. And Tommy, again, you're liking the Eagles over the Chiefs. Odds on favorite overall, just teams, not results. In order: Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Eagles, Bengals, Cowboys, Giants leapfrogging the Jaguars, and then last place the Jaguars. Giants were 55-1 last week, and Jaguars were 40-1. That is swapped now. Giants 25-1, Jaguars 35-1. Okay. Oh, and I did bet last week. I bet 49ers over Bengals, and I bet Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey separate Super Bowl MVP bets. I just threw a little bit.
I would hope they're separate. It'd be wild if you parlayed them.
Parlayed them, right?
Parlayed.
Yeah,
MVPs. Man, the odds I would get on that. 18-1 McCaffrey.
Might as well bet the push at that point.
All right. We have made all of our picks, which means it's time for our divisional round parlay partay. All right, it's the week 20 divisional round parlay partay. People, let's ride. I came prepared. Just kidding. I didn't come prepared. I made Carl and Tommy wait at the beginning of the podcast while I did my crash preparation. But I'm prepared now for you, the listeners at home. Carl, Tommy, do you have anything that you want to lead us off with, or do you want me to just let this ride?
Yeah, I can throw mine in real quick. It's because, like I said, the Jaguars, if they have any hope of beating the Chiefs, they probably have to throw in order to keep pace and everything. So I have my my hashtag Jaguars keep pace parlay, which is both Evan Ingram and Zay Jones to get a touchdown. It's only plus 900, which is a little lower than I would have expected.
Kind of like that.
But I just feel like Christian, in their first matchup, Christian Kirk is the one who went off, and I feel like the Chiefs are going to hone in on him. And Evan Ingram and Zay Jones have both stepped up in the latter half of the season, so I think that they continue that, maybe get some garbage time TDs from Trevor.
I'm not going to lie. I like that you named your parlay. That's like that's like half of making a parlay is coming up with a cool name for it.
That's not even that cool. I just said hashtag Jaguars keep up or whatever.
You said keep the pace parlay. It was good.
Oh, hell yeah.
It rolled off the tongue.
That was great.
Throw that one in the pocket.
Look at
I was
you.
thinking about calling my parlays next year Carlays, like Carlays.
Ooh.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I don't have one this week, other than like my bets that I already gave. I know I just said I'm going to do parlays next year, but I got away from parlays like late in the season because I was like, you know what? I've got enough money in my
You want to
bankroll.
stop losing money?
Yeah, I have like I've made money on parlays, which is wild. But like I just need to do more straight up bets because like the amount of times I've lost parlays by like 1 or 2 legs, and I'm just like, if I had just taken the money and just put it on all 6 of these games individually, I'd be up like money. So
That's fair.
Now that they're all individual games in the playoffs, I said it last week. I'm like, I'm just gonna bet one game at a time, or bet them all at the beginning of the week when we like go through the lines, and then like as it happens, if I win, then I'll like maybe add some more. I'll throw it on like a prop or something like that, and like have some fun with it. But I mean, you got to see it. You got to see it live where I was making prize picks, and I was just like, not that I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, I got money. Why not just throw it on?
Well, and so did I. And so then I made a same game parlay based off of your prize picks, and we both lost money on it.
It was Jalen Waddle's fault. He had drops that he should have had.
Tommy tried to warn us.
First thing I told you.
He did. Tommy was like, listen,
he had 3 opportunities. He had 3 opportunities to catch passes over his total yardage that we needed, dropped those, and then like in the 4th quarter with 5 minutes left, he ended up getting like 40 yards on a drive and did not get the next like 10 that we needed to go over.
Which is exactly what we said was going to happen.
Yeah, it was 100% his own fault, but I
also blame Skylar Thompson because he tried to hit him on some out routes and just could not throw the out route. So
that's where my logic was coming from. Was Tyreek Hill was able to get his with whoever his quarterback is. Jalen Waddle is not in that same tier.
Anyway, what's your prop picks for this, or your parlay for this week?
All right, I've been giving you like little mini parlays throughout the podcast, so I'm just gonna keep these simple. I gave you some of the stats already too. Just straight up like money lines all around. Like forget the spread. I know that's what we do on this podcast, but you know that I love the money lines straight up. We were talking about this last week, Carl. I was like 65% winning percentage on
what was my record straight up like in the wild card round?
I believe you were 6-0.
Oh, that's right. Did you guys do 6-0?
No.
Oh, okay. Just
thank you for that. So my playoff parlay here is just money lines all around, and I think we actually all agreed on all of these. So I love that for us. So if you just take money lines for the Chiefs, the underdog Bengals. Oh, Carl, you took the Bills. But whatever.
Take the Bills.
The Chiefs, the Bengals, the Eagles, and the 49ers gives you plus 617 odds. I mean, the Bengals, I think the Bengals are the risk. Maybe the Eagles if they're not healthy. Listen, I feel good about it. I feel really good about that. Plus 617. Chiefs, Bengals, Eagles, 49ers. All they got to do is win. Forget the points. Plus 617. That is value. Okay. And then here's my same game parlay for you. Unless Tommy, you want to jump in?
No, I can jump in after. I just thought of another parlay.
Okay. So Tommy and I were talking about earlier, or actually before we even jumped on, we liked some of the over receiving prop like numbers for Zay Jones and for Christian Kirk, maybe. They're not all listed on DraftKings. So here's what I'll tell you. Let's recap quickly. Jags, middle of the pack rushing defense. Okay. Allowed 155 rushing yards to the Chiefs. They give up 6 catches and 45 yards a game to running backs. Jerick McKinnon, 9 touchdowns in 6 games since week 13. Okay. 8 of them in the air. Jaguars also versus tight ends, 95 catches, over 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. Travis Kelce in that week 10 matchup, 6 for 81 and a TD. And some guy named Noah Gray, tight end, also caught a touchdown. That's how bad the Jags are against tight ends. Overall, 9 for 107 and 2 touchdowns against Chiefs tight ends. So, because we don't have receiving props, we were looking at maybe Christian Kirk's over, Zay Jones is over. Kirk and Jones, those are the guys, right? Zay Jones had 13 targets last week. Christian Kirk had like 12. They both had almost identical lines, 8 for 74 and a TD, 8 for 78 and a TD for Christian Kirk. So here's an anytime touchdown, same game parlay for Jags, Chiefs to get your Saturday going. Okay. Jerick McKinnon, anytime TD. Travis Kelce, anytime TD. Christian Kirk, anytime TD, and Zay Jones, anytime TD. Those 4 guys get into the end zone, 18-1 odds, plus 1,800. That's not bad. That's some value.
Jaguars dead last in DVOA against tight ends. Dead last, the absolute worst in the league. And we were talking last week about Seattle being down the bottom of the league.
Remarkable that anybody's worse than Seattle to me.
Yeah. So Kelsey, anytime TD sounds good. And like you said, if you want to freaking look at their backup tight end or like a second string, if they ever get close, like in the red zone,
longer odds,
something like that.
That's even more wild when you consider who, like, in their division, because tight end DVOA or tight end like defensive is usually dependent on like who you're playing, because obviously tight ends vary across the league. But to be last when you play the Colts twice, who I don't even know who their tight end is right now. You play the Texans twice, who I also don't even know who their tight end is right now. You play the Titans twice, who probably have the best tight end that they face in their division in
Okonkwo.
Yeah. But to be last when you're playing 4 games against the Colts and the Texans and still be last is like wild.
Yep. Those Christian Kirk and Zay Jones receiving props on other books, by the way. Christian Kirk over under 59.5, Zay Jones 55.5. Tommy and I, we like those, but we just can't include that in a DraftKings same game parlay because it's not live right now. Maybe check back on Friday.
Like I do expect the Chiefs to key in on Christian Kirk because he's
the number one.
Yeah, and so I would probably move off of that to Evan Ingram because, like I said, he's really stepped up, and I think he's in the 40s for over under, and I think he could get over that really easily.
Probably better odds if you swap Christian Kirk for Evan Ingram. Probably better odds.
Kansas City, 31st in the league versus number 1 wide receivers, giving up 8 catches and 80 yards per game, roughly. I rounded those numbers. So that would be Christian Kirk for you, right? Most likely. And then 28th in the league. This is for passing. 28th in the league against running backs, giving up about 7.5 catches per game and 47 yards. And with Travis Etienne, I feel like that's not a bad option there either if you're looking for like some catches and some yards for Etienne also. So
it's tough on that end because I don't know why, but the Jaguars just don't use him in the passing game. I think he averages like less than 2 targets a game.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
But if there's some check downs or if there's some get him involved because they know. But I like the Christian Kirk bet too. So, but
all
just to back you guys up.
Thank you. All right. Well, I think that will.
One more quick parlay because for if you're still listening to this, then you probably hate us, which means you are primed to pick a fade the 3-man rush parlay, which would mean on the money line you just go Cowboys, Giants, and Jaguars, and you put those 3 in a parlay to see what you can get.
Cowboys, Giants, Jaguars.
Because we all
get
agreed on the other 3. So
a Cowboys Giants NFC Championship game would be wild.
Oh my god.
That would be.
I would hate that. I would hate that.
What do we? So like Cowboys, Giants, Jaguars. That's an underdog parlay for fade 3-man rush. You get plus 4,304 odds.
Sheesh.
43-1 on the money line for those.
Which makes sense.
3. So there you go. Fade the 3-man rush.
At the same time, maybe the straight up doesn't apply to the fade the 3-man rush because we're pretty good at straight up. I'm not to toot our own horns, but.
Don't jinx it, Tommy.
I know you're right. You're right.
All right, I think that'll do it for us. Go make some money, people. I love betting in the playoffs. There's just you just kind of feel like you know what's going to happen, right? I love it.
And then you never do.
And then the game happens and you feel dumb.
Vikings. Tommy, take us out.
Oh, for the 3rd to last time this NFL season, folks, good luck at your local sports book. Bye.
Oh, yeah?
4th and 8 with Kirk Cousins on 3 yards.
Looking like Josh Dobbs out there.
Yeah, legit.
It's the worst. It's going to haunt me forever.
Listen, the sun set and Kirk Cousins, he turned back into the pumpkin that we all know he is.
I still love you, Kirk. And Tom.
Thank you for proving me right, Kirk. And Tom.
Dak Prescott's going to throw 27 interceptions.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Toodaloo.